Here is our tools video. I thought I'd share the tools that I use so that you understand what we're using and why we're using it. And I just thought I'd show it all to you all in one video. This is the kind of paper that I like to write on. It's super easy to erase from, and it's super white, so it shows the contrast really well, and it's fairly inexpensive too, so that's a good thing. And then my pencils I like all come in different numbers. A lot of people will tell you that they only use a number 2 pencil. I don't. I like all sorts of different ones, and you'll see on the back here they have different levels. I don't do much with the H's. I think that they engrave on the paper, and I don't enjoy that. I'm probably a little too heavy-handed maybe, but I have a hard time being light enough that they don't engrave on the paper. So I like these. I usually use from an HB up to an 8B, and the HB is going to be not as dark as the HB, and then we got a 2, and it graduates. This is one of the H's. I thought it was a 4B, but it was a 4H. I use the 4B a lot. And the cool part about, if you really need it dark to get your contrast in, if you go over one of the higher numbers, the softer, with a lower number, you can make it really dark. And I used to worry a ton about that, getting that dark, wanting to get it black. As I develop my skills, I've learned that that's not that important. The important part is the contrast between the light and the dark. That's what makes it look better. I also like to use the white erasers. I like this kind for really fine, and I just use the cheapest little sharpener for that. For my pencils, I use a nice electric razor or sharpener that is not the razor type. I just like it better. And then for big cleanup, I use the big white erasers. They don't grab the paper like the kneaded ones, and they leave it super white. So I like that. And then when I erase, I use a Swiffer. One of the other tools I use a lot are the blending stumps. And I'll talk about those a lot. These can add up if you use a ton of them. So I have figured out how to clean them myself. I tried a pencil sharpener, by the way, that doesn't work. That's not a great idea. But I used an emery board, and I just clean them off. Another thing I really try to emphasize is if you're using these on the on color pencil, keep them. I separate all my stuff in a baggie. When I'm working on a project, I just have a baggie with the pencils that I'm using. Keep the stumps that you use on colored pencil away from the stumps you use on black and white, or you will ruin a picture. And they're really actually very good once you get them. It's almost like seasoning them. It's so much nicer once they get a lot of the graphite on them. I use them a lot in my drawing. Maybe, no, probably not more than a pencil, but pretty close, And they blend and make your time so much better. Can get so much more done. I also will use a tissue for blending. Just make sure it doesn't have aloe or anything on it. That'll ruin your picture. But if you need to get a lot of smearing done, tissue works great. And see, this is a project I'm working on now, so all the pencils I need for that project are in there. And I keep them away from the colored pencils. The colored pencils I like to use, I like the Prisma. They're soft, they blend well. And this is a colored pencil that is colorless. So if you're drawing with a colored pencil, I'll grab one here. And colored pencil tends to look a bit like crayon when you put it on, because it doesn't go into the creases of the paper very well. So if you go over it with the colorless ones, it goes into the paper better. Fills in those white spots. Just a little trick I like. You'll need a T-square or a ruler, because I do a lot of work with a grid. And when I do my grids, I use my T-square and I use my blending stumps to draw my grids. Because after I'm done using my grid, gotta get rid of it. And the blending stumps go away much easier than the pencil. And then you're also going to want a printer so you can print out the workbook pages. And I use a grid a lot to draw. Don't use it so much anymore, but it's a great way to start. So I've noticed when I've been doing the videos that I am not used to using the grid as much as I used to. So I'm having to relearn it just a bit. And then I like to block it out so you can see that it's just these lines that are dark, these lines that aren't, and then you go over to your piece of paper and you can just draw that. We'll pretend there's a grid here. And you can just draw that on there. So I cut myself a little piece of paper that has a square in it. And you just draw what's in the square, and then you go down and do the next one. And I'm also finding out that I like to do it this way and look at that whole line so that I can see where it connects to. So I might go over it two different directions. So these are great tools. They're cheap, they're around the house, they're easy. And the only other thing is I always keep a really a piece of scratch paper around so that I can have something to grab some more color with. So all this stuff can be bought at one of your craft stores, and it's not a huge investment. And sometimes Walmart and some of those stores will have them too. So I hope this helps out so that when I'm talking about the things, you'll understand what products I use. Hope you have a great day and keep drawing.